It seems like every other day on TikTok, I see young people complaining about how frustrated they are with the high cost of living. And even though most of us have been there and feel your pain, many of us still are now. But instead of just telling you to suck it up, let me try to give you some realistic solutions on how you can get out of it. First and foremost, please understand that neither political party has your best interest at heart. Please also understand that many of your problems are downstream from bad policies that either one of these parties control at any time. The only real major solution to your problems is smaller government, but we'll get there in a minute. Both sides of the political aisle squander money needlessly, and all of the inflation, for the most part, is caused by reckless government spending. However, the right, generally speaking, is more favorable to business. Many of the problems that young people are complaining about are related to money, and economic prosperity generally comes from a favorable business environment. And even though the bureaucrats like to blame the big bad corporations for all your problems, free markets, capitalism, and American businesses and entrepreneurs have driven almost all of the major innovations in the world in recent history. Without entrepreneurs, without businesses, without capitalism, we would have nothing. Government creates nothing, creates no ingenuity, creates absolutely nothing at all. It's the entrepreneurs, the individuals who save and reinvest their capital that create all the jobs, that improve the quality and standard of life. So the first overarching thing to understand is that we need smaller government. At the very least, a vote to the right side of the aisle is closer to that smaller government dream. Next, the sad reality is that you need to understand that really hard work is baked into the cake, and the job that might be a little bit easier but pays less money may not be worth it. It's important to put in as many hours and work as hard as you can when you're young. Even though it seems like you're squandering your youth and you're wasting your life away, all of us ultimately have been there at one time, and it's the job of the young person to slog out those hours and slog out that time so that you don't have to do it later in life. It is temporary, I can guarantee you that, and eventually it will teach you the hard life lessons that working slightly less or working an easier job or having money younger cannot possibly teach you. You are learning things that you do not even understand at this time. At the very least, you're learning how hard and how much discipline you're willing to have to change your predicament, to change your situation. And that struggle and hustle will remind you how to push through and when to push through further throughout the remainder of your life. That anguish will cause you to fight to never be in those circumstances again. Next, you need to understand that the amount of money that you earn is parallel to the value that you produce. Your income is based on your output. To use a very simple example, if you could produce 20 coffees in an hour and then you figure out a way to produce 40 coffees in an hour, you've just doubled the value output that you create for that business. The key to increasing your income is effort and skills. The more effort you give, the faster you develop the skills. The more skills you have, the more valuable you are to the business. The more value you add to a business, the more options you have to move up economically. You should always be seeking to learn. You are not entitled to live alone in the place you want to live and drive the car you want to drive and have the leisure that you want to have. You're more than welcome to do that, but you can't complain about your economic situation. There's absolutely no shame in driving a less desirable car or living in a less desirable area or not spending the money on frivolous things that you think are you living your life. This will pay off in the long run, I promise you. And there's no shame in having a roommate. Living alone is something that not a lot of people are able to do until much later in life. There's a lot of different interpersonal skills and hardships that we have to go through at a young age that teach us how to be better later on in life. These are all part of the lesson. It's all part of the game. And complaining online is not going to solve it, unfortunately. The most important thing, perhaps above all else, is that you need to learn the game of money. In order to have money, you need to learn to love it. You need to love it because it's a tool, just like a hammer. Loving money and attracting money is just like loving a significant other. You need to understand its past, where it comes from, how it got there, the things that make it work, the things that make it tick, how to attract it to you so that it can do more things for you and with you. The internet is a bastion of free resources, and there's absolutely no excuse to not learn more about money every single day. On your way to work, in the car, while you're walking, while you're exercising, in some downtime, on your break, before you go to sleep. There's no excuse for this. You need to understand credit, your credit score, how to save money, and most importantly, perhaps of all, how to invest money. Because money, like so many other aspects of life, is just a game. It takes practice, it takes skills, it takes time. But if you learn about credit scores, budgeting, managing your finances, keeping track of your daily expenditures, credit cards, and how credit works, if you learn the basics of the stock market, saving and investing, CDs, certificates of deposit, gold, silver, all of these aspects, you will understand how to attract more money, you will understand the history of money, and you'll be able to use those investment vehicles when some money comes into your pocket. And young people, please understand this. By simply learning these skills, you're already ahead of 50% of the country. The top 1% in America earns less than $500,000 a year. In the very simplest of terms, your income is a result of your output, the value that you create for a business. That value is created as a result of effort, skills, and knowledge. Your output is directly correlated to your effort and your skills. Knowledge is the third piece of that trifecta. If you learn the knowledge, you'll learn the skills faster, and the output, the effort, will be more efficient. With efficiency comes increased output, increased value, increased income. But please also understand that your frustration is not misplaced or unwarranted, and it will likely exist throughout your life should you not join the remainder of us that are doing the best that we can to try to change it via policy. But in the meantime, the best that you can do is understand that you need to follow these basic steps and understand that your frustration is part of the game. That frustration is the exact same reason why people work so hard. It's the exact same reason why people lift themselves out of the predicament that they're in. That frustration is the necessary fuel to get you and everyone else to the next level. Without that frustration, you'd have no desire to be there. That frustration is the lesson. Because throughout your life, you will be able to call on these formidable years where you learned how to push through and persevere through great frustration. And it will teach you that the solution to almost all of your problems is effort, skills, and knowledge. You would be surprised how many people much later in life still don't understand these basic principles. And for the very few that do, the world is yours.